okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay, so first one, just like in general, I want you to rate the novel overall, like on a scale of 1 to 10, what you would give it.
That's so hard. I'm really bad at rating things. I think I would give it an 8.
Okay.
8.2 to spice it up. Add that
I
point.
can totally agree with that. Question 2. So did you do any research on the author before or after reading?
I did research on Amezi in the middle when Professor Bright did the whole PowerPoint on them and linked their Instagram. I followed them on Instagram and was just going through everything. And they live a very interesting life. Like they're just having a good time. And their breast reduction, I thought it was top surgery. And so I kind of Googled that to see if it was top surgery because I know they're trans, I believe.
Yes, I did the same type of, yeah.
Yeah, and so I wanted to see if it was top surgery, but then they got a breast reduction so that it'd be they would still have have their breasts, but it wouldn't be as big. And so I think that's what I did the most research on. And then I read a few reviews on their new book, Pet.
Yeah, I saw that too. And it was also interesting to see their tattoo that they talked about in the novel, which was kind of cool. And so kind of a follow-up question to that, if you did the research, did it enhance or limit your understanding of the novel while you read?
I think it enhanced it because since it is autobiographical fiction, there were parts that I could see paralleled between Ada and Amezi's life. But it also kind of made me question some of the events in the book because I wanted to know what was fiction and what was nonfiction, because I feel since it is autobiographical fiction, I don't know if the spirits are the fictional part or if there's some events that she kind of exaggerated or created to separate herself from the book. And so I think having that clarified would have been nice, but I definitely saw a lot of the same feelings and experiences that the two have shared.
Totally. What was your first impression of the different points of view from the different spirits versus when you finished the book?
I was very confused on who the we were because they don't get specific names. I think one is called Shadow, and there's another S name, and they're just, I don't really understand their role. So they started in Ada's body, but they're always we just kind of hung out there. They never really took over her body the way Asugara and Saint Vincent did. So I thought the we were very interesting because they were just kind of bystanders in her whole life, but they were they're the start of the her becoming a Bonje. They're the first spirits to be inside of Ada's body, and they just didn't really do much. I feel Asugara took the whole.
Oh, she was definitely the star of the show.
Yeah, she was the star of the show. And then St. Vincent was kind of a reoccurring character that made some changes.
He just added some spiciness to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really liked the different point of views. I thought it was really interesting that Ada, the only time we hear from her, I think 4 times in the book.
Yeah.
And the first 3 times are just 1 to 2 page notes that she writes to people or writes to herself, until the very last chapter is just her being I took control of my body, we are partners, I guess,
they work together.
Yeah, they work together in her body, and how she how she's dealing with that and her whole experience. And I wish there was more of Ada in the book, like even if it was just like 1 or 2 more pages of just like how she was feeling, because I feel like
closure.
Yeah, closure, or like more insight into how she's dealing with like all of the trauma she experienced, because we only see like snippets of it from like how Asugara perceives it.
I honestly would have like at the very end just kind of like just her checking in, or sorry, them checking in, and like, hey, it's like me a year later, this is how I'm doing, like this is what I've like learned and overcome. I feel like if they were to do that, that would have been like kind of cool. Like it would have just been like closing it all together.
Do you mean Ada or Amezi? Like Amezi adding a little chapter being like, this is...
Honestly, either.
Okay.
Either, yeah. Because I feel like maybe Ada, just because they didn't get like a whole lot to like say in the novel, but honestly, either one would have been really cool.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Is Ada's pronouns they, them?
I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like I don't know, but I also don't want to like
assume.
Yeah, I don't want to say the wrong ones.
Because I've been saying she the whole time. Because it's not like specified, but I guess it would make sense since like.
But they're also they're fictional, so as long as we use a Mezzie's correct one.
Yeah. Like Ada is a messy kind of, not really.
Also, if we're like recording this and we want to like change it for the transcripts, I can go back and change your answers to the right pronouns if we figure it out after.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it really says. I think maybe Ada is non-binary, but the only time, I don't know. I feel like St. Vincent is the one that pushes like masculine like looks and mannerisms.
Yeah, because if it were to come up, it would have been towards the end when St. Vincent kind of took over.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly don't remember or know. Yeah,
I don't think they ever refer to Ada with pronouns at all. They're always just like,
they just say the Ada. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, it's never like she or they. It's just like the Ada did this.
You're right.
So it's very interesting because I didn't even realize that until we started talking about it.
That's a good. I'm gonna see if I can find anything on that, or maybe I'll email like Professor Bright and be like, "Hey, what do we call the Ada?" Okay. Question 5. Did you like learn anything new while reading this? Like maybe in terms of like how, like about yourself, or about like what was talked about in the novel, or about the author, like anything?
I feel like, well, obviously a lot about like Ogbanje and Igbo people and like their beliefs. I learned a lot about, because I'd never heard of like Ogbanje. And I thought it was very interesting because I remember, or I thought I remembered at the beginning of the book, the spirits come into your body when you're born, then they stay until you're like a child, and then you're supposed to go through like a ritual where they like cleanse them out of your body.
Okay.
But since Ada's family wasn't Ogbanje, they didn't do the whole ritual. And so that's why the spirit stayed in Ada's body the whole time, because like they never went through that ritual to like cleanse them out, I guess. But then when the like near, I don't know if it's like chapter 18, 20, somewhere between there, the we spirits are like, we could leave whenever we want to, but we didn't want to.
Yeah, I remember that.
So like, I don't know if like what is true. I would definitely have to do more research on that, but learning about this like new belief or this way of life about like Ogbanje people and the spirits that like live within them, and their role, not their role, but like the decisions they make for their own future.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to do more research into it and to see like if there are other Ogbanje people or Igbo people who like do conceive, like have offspring, and like
Yeah.
if they know how to like handle all the situations that their children will go through, or if they like Emezi get a hysterectomy and kind of end the lineage with them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a common practice amongst them or if that is just like Emezi's personal choice.
That's really true.
Yeah, so I definitely learned a lot about that. I was telling my friends about it. I was trying to summarize the book, and I was like, it's about these spirits that live in this body. And, like, yeah, and I'm trying to think, did I learn anything from it? I mean, it was just a really interesting read, and I think I kind of what I took away from it was like the the role that Western like civilization beliefs and the like gender binaries we put on people are very like Western ways of thinking, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like it made me question like why do we put so much pressure on people to conform to like these certain gender binaries when it's actually like a very large spectrum, and like
Yeah.
there's like more labels now more than ever, I think, that like people are putting themselves into, and it's just very interesting to be kind of like cognizant of that and to kind of like learn that there isn't like the binaries are irrelevant at this point, especially I think for our generation. Like we're
Yeah.
kind of like breaking the mold of like what was expected of us and like of the gender we are born with or that we perceive ourselves as having.
Like a kind of like a whole new perspective.
Yeah. And just
Yeah.
be like, it's just kind of like, I think this book kind of just went a little bit more in depth on how like Western, how problematic Western thinking is about like gender and like gender performative expectations. Like there was one line that really stuck out to me when Ada was kind of transitioning, getting the breast reduction and wearing more binders and like going out and sleeping
Like
with
in masculine, yeah, like wearing masculine clothes.
and but they were still very femme. But then they went out to a bar and a guy was like, "You're too pretty to be gay." And
Mm-hmm.
that line is just kind of like said and then like brushed over, but like it really stuck out to me because I was like, what? Like, why would someone say that? And
Like, what is their like take on like gay? Like, what are their expectations? Like, does
yeah,
somebody have to look a certain way?
to be gay. And
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
yeah. And so I was just like, it was just so strange because it was just one line skipped over, like never talked about
This,
again. And I
yeah,
think it just kind of like just kind of enforce the like that people can be who they are without having to meet like the stereotypes or to be confined in like a box based on those stereotypes.
yeah, totally. Okay, and then my last question is kind of two parts. What was your greatest challenge while reading this novel? And then kind of to like follow up with that, kind of going back to question 5, like, did you gain any new insight? So kind of similar to like what you learned, but did you gain any new insights based off of any of the challenges that you faced reading it, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I think the biggest challenge was my procrastination. It took me a while to get through this book. Like, not because it's hard read or like I wasn't interested, I was, but it was just like, I don't know, with everything that was going on, just like forcing myself to read it, it was just kind of hard. and I guess trying to like figure out who the we were, or like what role they played, because I always wanted to know more about them and their role. Sorry, there's a life alert thing going on.
Fine.
Yeah, so I think the biggest challenge with reading this was just getting through it. Like, it was very interesting, and when I did read it, I got through it pretty fast, and there was like a lot of things I took from it, but just finding the time to read it.
Yeah, honestly, same.
Yeah. So with that, my insight is that I need to make more time for things that I like to do. I need to procrastinate less, because I feel like the pro in procrastination.
Me too.
It's so hard, especially now. I thought like with online learning, you feel like you have a lot of time, and the next thing you know, like you don't have any time to do anything.
Nope. Oh.
There it is. Yeah. Yeah, and so I like want to read Pet next, because I'm in school right now to become a high school English teacher. And
Okay.
I think I want to read Pet and use it in my classroom, because there aren't that many books or like any form of content about asexual Black trans people. And like if there are like content about Black trans women or men, there's always some kind of like problem, like either their family or their community doesn't support them, or they don't support like the transition themselves. And what I read about Pet was that Emezi wanted to write a book to show an asexual Black trans girl who was just living a normal life, who had the support of their family and their community. And
Yeah.
so I think that's like a good perspective to have, and I feel like it's very rare, and so I think it's important to kind of show that to more people, and so that it will become normalized, and like Black trans people aren't overly sexualized or like seen as a negative part of society.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I want to do elementary school teaching.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Nice.
in this boat, kind of. Those are all my questions. So do you want to start a new video?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.